Why are Knicks fans the way they are? Why does Knicks fandom feel like a passionate small town, but at the biggest possible scale? I've been trying to find the words to articulate why Knicks fandom is the closest thing we have to world football fandom. Let's start with the basics, the size of the fan base, right? Think of the other sports in town. The New York Yankees, the New York Mets have millions of fans each across multiple generations. Those are some of the biggest fan bases in baseball on their own, and you combine them to get the size of the Knicks fan base. Same thing with the New York Giants and New York Jets, massive fan bases with generations of fans. And it's outside the city too, right? There are people with New York roots all over the country. So yeah, point number one is probably the one that's common knowledge. The city is so massive, it holds two fan bases for most sports except for basketball. With all due respect, I do know a few Nets fans, all of whom have New Jersey roots. I see you, I hear you, but even they would tell you the Nets footprint in New York City and in Brooklyn is non-existent. Now, here's what I think is the most interesting aspect, which I think people outside the city might not know. It's basketball's relationship with New York City. New York is a basketball town. And I don't know if you can say that about any other cities. Correct me if I'm wrong. In my experience growing up here, everyone played basketball to some extent. That's why we hate pickleball and Chad and Jackson, who just moved here, who are setting up a pickleball court on a basketball court, blasting Imagine Dragons or whatever the Sorry, I had to throw some pickleball slander in there. But even outside of playing basketball, hanging out at basketball courts is like hanging out at the mall, I guess, and other places. I mean, that's what I did after school every single day. So everyone has a relationship with the sport of basketball in the city. And everyone loved the Knicks, no matter what. Well, I myself have some faint memories of Allen Houston and Latrell Sprewell. My generation's real first era, my first conscious memories were the Isaiah Thomas era, the Stephon Marbury, Jamal Crawford, Eddie Curry Knicks. They were horrible, and yet we all had Starbury. We copied Jamal Crawford's crossover at the playground. We loved Al Harrington. And while NYC certainly doesn't produce most of the top-end NBA talent like they did back in the day, historically, NYC is this mecca of basketball. From all the legends they have produced to all the famous outdoor courts where people from all over come to play. So when you add all of this up, intense basketball culture intertwined with the biggest city in America, a city where everyone is living on top of each other all the time, all following a team that has been rough for most of their lives. That is the energy you see today with the team finally being great again. We have all talked about the same hypothetical for our entire lives. What if the Knicks were good again? Can you imagine what New York City would be like? They were the biggest sleeping giants in sports, and they are wide awake now. All of this, what you're seeing, is what life is like when the New York Knicks are good. All of us knew what it would be like, but not all of us have seen what it would be like. This is why New York Knicks fandom is in its own tier when it comes to sports.